Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Ngo. I am the program officer at Tigerway. Today, I'm here with Darren Mo, a Tigerway megastar who has gotten a 1500 on his SAT score and has recently gotten the UPenn early decision acceptance. So first, I just wanted to ask you, can you tell me about yourself and what extracurriculars that you do?
Okay, so I'm currently a senior at Abington Senior High School in Abington, Pennsylvania. And throughout my high school experience, one area of focus that I really liked and I've been really involved with is mathematics and things related with STEM. So throughout high school, I've been in math club, like from ninth to 11th grade. Um, I've taken many AP classes that have been related to STEM, such as AP Chem, AP Physics, AP Bio, AP Physics C, AP Calc, AP Stat. I've done a bunch of those classes, and I really prioritize those classes and try to gain as much information from them as I can. Um, but throughout my years of high school, I've also transitioned more into business and economics and applying that my math skills through mathematical economics and finance. So I started taking classes like AP microeconomics, some English classes to improve my writing and speaking abilities, like AP Lang and composition. I've taken AP. I'm taking AP research this year to further hone my writing ability, and I've also been involved in a club called DECA, which is a business oriented club, and I'm the president of that club. I'm also a 3 year executive board member of Student Council, and I'm also a 3 year member of National Honor Society.
Amazing. It's
Oh,
busy student lifestyle. Is that all or?
yeah, just one more thing. I'm the captain of the swim team, which I've been a varsity member for since my freshman year.
Great, amazing. And throughout that, how was academics for you while juggling all those extracurriculars?
Well, I found it much easier to get through my days while being super organized and on top of my homework and long-term projects slash essays and tests that are coming up. I found it really easy to get through my days if I was keeping track of those things. I remember as a freshman and earlier in my sophomore year, I would I wasn't as organized. I didn't have a planner. I didn't have a calendar set out for me. And as a result, it became common for me to forget about assignments that I had. And until like the night before, I was cramming in all this um, work. And as a result, the quality of my work wasn't as well as I wanted it to be. So I would recommend to like use a calendar or use a planner or like a notebook to write down long-term assignments because I feel like that could go a really long way. And by doing that, you can evenly sort out like the work that you have day by day to make the workload easier for you and to make your work more efficient and the quality of the work better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. My next question is, how did you discover Tiger Way and how did you connect with Larry?
So this is actually um, kind of a unique story, I guess. But I've had this really good friend, Brian Hunton. I've um I've known him since I was like a very small child, and we've been childhood friends for a very long time. But around the age of 13, I think I was, he moved to Boston, and I hadn't spoken to him in a while. And he was in ninth grade, maybe 10th grade, and I was like in seventh or eighth grade at the time. And he was starting to prepare for college, the SATs and stuff. So when I went to visit him one time in around 2018, 2019, um, his mom told my parents about his SAT prep, Tigerway prep, and how she thought it was like a very excellent program and that like I should join it when I get into high school because it could really help me like reach and get the scores that I need to get in order to get to these high tier colleges.
Mhm.
So as I got into high school, I think it was the big start of 10th grade. She Brian's mom connected my dad with Larry because Brian was already in the program for a while by then. And through that, that's how I kind of learned about Tigerway. And I'm pretty sure that was the first year or so of Tigerway being virtual. I recall like Tigerway being like an in-person academy or class like beforehand, and that was like that was when Larry was starting to experiment with the virtual stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's how I got into Tigerway.
yeah. When I was a team member at Tigerway, it was all in person. I would go to Boston every Saturday. But as soon as the pandemic happened, everything switched to remote. That's also a question I wanted to ask you is how was the online learning environment for you with Tigerway?
I thought personally, I felt that it was almost like it wasn't really much different than like an in-person class because like in an in-person class, yeah, you're in person and the person speaking directly to you, but if you choose to slack off and not pay attention, like you're obviously not going to be reaping the benefits that you could be attaining from the program. And the same thing occurs with an online program. You're obviously in the program and paying money for the program because you yourself want to improve. And and because if you don't pay attention, like you're paying money, but you're not going to improve.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all about the way you perceive, like, it's all about what you want to get out of the program. If you really put in the work and put in the intention, then you're going to get, you're going to succeed.
Yeah. And I think being able to learn online is definitely very important, is a life skill that is definitely needed once you go into college. And, after college, a lot of the programs that you see after that will end up being online anyway. So it's just a good skill to pick up as soon as possible. My next question is, can you share what challenges you had while improving your SAT score?
Yeah. So one thing about me was that I was always talented in math. Like I said before, I've like always been interested in math. I really like STEM. So math was a really strong point of mine, but reading was a really weak point of mine. So my first SAT score that I actually had was a 1450, and I had an 800 in math and a 650 in reading. And one of the biggest challenges about reading for me was the time constraint. I felt like there were so many questions. There were 52 questions, and I think it's only you have to answer all of them in 65 minutes. And that's 13 minutes per passage because there's 5 passages in the reading section. And I felt that like reading those 5 passages in the time and answering all 10 questions while analyzing the passage like really deeply to know, like to understand the gist and like all the details about it was like it was really hard to do that in 13 minutes while answering 10 questions. But
Hmm.
what I found really useful for Tigerway was that we did questions within like an even stricter time limit. So although you have 13 minutes per passage in the reading part of the SAT, um, at Tigerway we would do them in like 10 minutes or 9 minutes. So that really got me conditioned to be able to like execute better when it came to the actual SAT because although 13 minutes may seem like a very quick amount of time, like small amount of time, because I was conditioned to do the questions in such a quick amount of time, it actually felt longer than it actually was. So that's what really got me through. And also, Larry helps a lot with critical, like reading critically, like
Yes.
because of like the tips he told me, and like he improved like the way I like looked at passages and perceived it. I started to derive things from my reading that I previously didn't do, and that helped me a lot in answering the questions. It made everything so much clearer, and as soon as I looked at the question, I knew how to answer it. Yeah.
Amazing. Do you think Tigerway helped you a lot with your academics in school as well?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I said, reading critically has is a huge part of school. Like it doesn't matter what class you take. You could be taking like an English class, you could be taking a biology class, you could be taking a history class, you could be taking a physics class. And in all those classes, chances are that you're going to have a textbook that you have to read, and you're going to have to take information from those textbooks in order to actually do well in that class. And reading critically is like a huge part of being able to properly analyze the information that's in your textbooks. So in Tigerway, because of like the tips um, training that Larry did with me, I was able to obviously read more critically, and as a result, I was able to um, perceive the information in textbooks that in ways that like I previously couldn't. Like for example, I took AP United States history last year, and I remember beforehand, if let's say if I took that class as a freshman before I started Tigerway, I would probably read it, and it would take me maybe two or three times, like to read it over and over again to actually understand what was going on. But by reading more critically, you can like diminish the amount of time that takes to understand a passage. I could read it once and I could understand effectively what was being written. So,
Mhm. Amazing. So you joined us for the SAT coaching and the college consulting program. What was your experience like with college consulting at Tigerway?
so before Tigerway, I was a very like naive student. I thought that college was all about like SAT scores and grades, and I knew extracurriculars played a large role in college acceptance, but I didn't really think much about conveying my personality through my essays and my interest through my essays and making that really apparent to the college admissions offices. But I feel like through Tigerway and through the college consulting process in Tigerway, I was really able to grasp a better understanding of how that worked, like how much how much college admissions offices actually cared about your essays, your interests, your personality, and how well you could fit in with the community that they already have there. And another thing Tigerway really did that helped me a lot in the college consulting process or the college admissions process was they gave me sources. They gave me sources to look at when applying to a school. For example, like the school's newspaper or specific websites for the school. And by reading and analyzing those passages and papers and stuff, you could really get an understanding of what college admissions officers, college admissions officers are looking for when they look at applications. And that really helped, like, to a great extent.
Great. So how do your parents feel about your acceptance to UPenn and your SAT score?
So my SAT score, I had a 1500. My parents were kind of skeptical of that in the beginning, but Larry always told me that as long as you have around 1500 or above, or even around a 1490, your score is competitive. And as long as you have strong extracurricular, strong essays, you'd be good. So I decided after I got a 1500, I'd start emphasizing the other parts of my resume more. But my parents were still a little skeptical about my score. But after I got into UPenn, I mean, I've never seen them happier before in my life. Like one thing that I always envisioned when I thought about college admissions and like getting accepted to college was the reaction my parents would have if I got into a good college, and just being able to see that and like their reactions like even like surpass my expectations of what they would be was a great experience. I recall like my dad even like immediately went into the kitchen and bought the bottle of champagne and called his friend over and just celebrated the whole night. So it was really great to see. And we even went out to dinner over my winter break a couple times because they were just so ecstatic about my acceptance. So
That's great. Congratulations again.
thank you so much.
And another question that I have is, what are your thoughts on our Tigerway community? Can you describe three characteristics of a person that would be successful in Tigerway?
So I really feel that most of the students at Tigerway are very disciplined and driven. So I guess those are two adjectives I could use to describe a successful individual at Tigerway. And I feel like that those two characteristics really like influence me to like work harder because I realize that most of these kids are going to be successful. And if I also want to be successful, I have to like mimic their characteristics and try to be more like them because these kids were had amazing extracurriculars whenever we would talk about them in the sessions. They had amazing extracurriculars. They were great writers. Most of them had like almost perfect accuracy on like the practice questions that we would do in the SAT sessions, either in reading or math. Um, and I knew a lot of these kids also had very high SAT scores. So obviously, that's like a direct way to prove that they have high intellect. So I realized that that was the result of their drive and their discipline. Like every single day, the same people would show up consistently. I think it was every Sunday is when I had the SAT classes. And I mean, I feel like I had to take those qualities and, like I said, mimic them in order to achieve the levels of success that they had.
Mhm.
And the last adjective I think I would use to describe a successful individual at Tigerway would be just enthusiastic about learning.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have to love learning in order to find success, like in any academic setting.
Mhm. Yeah, and those are three great characteristics. At the pro in the program, we have multiple resources. I wanted to ask you what was your favorite resource. We have the course portal, we have the digital library, and we have the Discord community. So which one's your favorite?
So I feel like the digital library is probably my favorite because I'm not really like a Discord person. So I'm not really like used to chatting with everyone and stuff on Discord. But the digital library was something that I really used often when like before my SAT. I remember like right before I took my second SAT, the month before like going up to that, I was practicing questions through the digital library every single day almost. And I feel like that extra practice really paid off. I remember Larry always telling me that, oh, you should do practice questions on your own. You should do homework, and you should be doing all this work by yourself. And I never really like did that up until I actually got my first SAT score back, and it wasn't what I wanted. So after that, I actually started doing the work on my own using the digital library, and it actually helped me so much. And I mean, the fact that Larry has like all those like resources to share with everyone in the program, I think is like a really special thing because I feel like most programs don't have access to
Yeah.
that wide of like just a collection of resources, and I mean it's amazing.
Yeah, our digital library is always updated, so it is amazing. I also wanted to give you a chance to provide some insight for our audience. So, if you were to share some advice to either a freshman, sophomore, junior, or any parents, what advice would you give them for your SAT score and your college admission to UPenn?
So for my SAT score, I would say definitely practice. Like, and also one very important thing, don't get too comfortable just because your mock SAT scores are high. I remember the first time I took a mock SAT, I scored a 1540, but like even after taking the exam twice and studying like very studiously the second time, I still didn't reach that score. So the first thing I would recommend is to not be overly confident with that because that could lead to slacking off, and if you slack off, you're obviously not going to see the results that you want to see. And the second thing is, and this was really apparent with me in the reading, because obviously I already said I was a little weaker in reading than I was in math. Definitely try to stay calm. Like do whatever you can to stay calm, because I feel like if you get flustered during the exam, you have trouble like actually being able to read and understand the passages, or even in math, like you can have trouble understanding like how to approach the problem. So definitely stay calm. That's a huge thing. And definitely get a good night of sleep and get as much practice as you can, like before the exam.
Mhm.
And with the college admissions process, I would say the number one thing that you should worry about or you should do is only worry about the things that you can control. If you start worrying about things that are out of your control, you're doing pointless worrying. You're pretty much just hurting yourself and you're not benefiting from it at all. And like, if you worry about the things that you can't control, you're going to achieve success no matter what, because you're going to do the best that you can. So, obviously, worrying about the things that you can't control is going to allow you to achieve that success, and not worrying about the things that you can't control is going to just put you in a better mental state. And I feel like if you're in a better mental state, then that's going to be a catalyst for success too. So that's a saying that stuck with me. That was actually given to me by a swim coach. So just worry about the things that you can control, not things you can't.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. Last question that I have for you is what plans do you have for college and what do you want to major in at UPenn?
Um, so I applied for mathematical economics, which I'm somewhat sure I want to do, but at UPenn there is like a general ed like requirement, which means that like a liberal arts school, you have to like explore a bunch of different areas. So I have to take a bunch of classes in different areas. It's like a core curriculum type of thing. So through that, I hope to like further understand what I really want to do in college, and from there on, I'll have a better understanding of what major I want to do. Obviously know that whatever major I take, I want it to be related to math, because I love doing math. Math is my strong suit, and it's also just fun. Like the fluidity of like or the perfection of some of the equations and formulas. It's just like very satisfying to me. So I love math, and I definitely want to do math in college. And one thing that I really want to do as well is research with some of the professors at UPenn. I actually Larry also like another thing Larry told me to do like as a sophomore was to get research opportunities at prestigious colleges, because that could really help in your college admissions process. So I followed his advice and I got a research opportunity at Swarthmore College, which which actually really helped me out in my college admissions process, I think. So I kind of want to continue that experience at UPenn, and like I already have the basic gist of what that is supposed to be like, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really interesting and intriguing. So that's something that I definitely plan to do. I definitely plan to get in contact with some professors that are already doing research in an area of interest that I have that we share, and to help them.
Mhm.
And finally, the last thing I plan to do is just try a bunch of food
Yeah.
in Berlin, for sure. I'm a big food person, so it'll be fun just to explore all the different areas in the city that I want to eat at.
Yeah. And that's great. With a strong application like yours, you have a really good foundation on your grades and everything. So you have a lot of choices and opportunity up for you, no matter what major you go for. I can see that you're very passionate in math, so that's gonna bring you a long way in life. You're positioned very well to do amazing. So everyone, this is Darren Moe. He is the Tigerway megastar who got a 1500 on his SAT and a UPenn acceptance. Darren, I wish you the best of luck and thank you for this interview.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on this. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad to share my insight and knowledge.